Winter's nearly here and I've got a critical job to do before the rain properly arrives, which I'm hoping is going to save me thousands of pounds in the long run. And what is the issue? I had this whole area built a couple of years ago as part of our garden redevelopment works when we were waiting for planning on the kitchen. And we wanted a really natural, authentic brick. So we bought some reclaimed bricks from a local reclamation yard that came from a hospital in Manchester. Now, I knew that the majority of the bricks wouldn't be strong enough to withstand the elements, but I at least hoped that we were protecting the wall from the worst of the weather by putting a hardier brick on the top. How wrong I was. And 2 years later, some of the bricks are critically spalling, disintegrating to the point where I'm looking at having to replace them. And with well over 1,000 bricks here, I've got a major issue on my hands. So what do you do in this situation? I go back to an old favourite brick protection system to try and stop the weather, the freeze thaw, whatever it is that's making this damage to my bricks from doing the same thing this winter. Now, this is going to sound a bit salesy, this bit, but it's not, it shouldn't be, because I'm not being paid anything to talk about this. But I'm a massive fan of this stuff, Emperor paint, and I've used it to paint the whole of this part of the house. I did a video on this a few years back, and I only actually did one coat because I got the YouTube video done, and I was so grateful to do that. I went on to other stuff. So that's still only got one coat. This, you might have seen this, I've just had this re-plastered recently. That has 2 coats of this paint, so I'm hoping that's going to keep me protected for the winter. But that's not what I'm talking about. The reason I mention Emperor is because they also do this Creme. It's a brick protection system Creme. This stuff was critically important a couple of years ago. Again, another video, link on screen now. But when the builders rebuilt this corner of the house, we sort of reclaimed bricks that we'd taken from inside the house. I think these were from the chimney breast. We shouldn't have done because they're not external bricks, they're internal, and they were leaking. They were taking in water like a sponge. I was really worried about the future of these bricks. So I put this Creme on the bricks, as you can see from the clips from the video now, and suffice to say, the result has been incredible. All the rain we've had over the last couple of years, none of it's ever gone into any of the bricks. And that's brilliant from a heat point of view and also from the point of view of the integrity of the bricks themselves. So fast forward 2 years, I've got this major problem with all the brickwork and I've turned to this stuff again. And yes, I know this is Creme, not Cream. I don't know why I've called it that in this video. But stay tuned, because I've got other things to talk about later. Now, I must stress, this really isn't cheap. 240 quid for 10 litres. So some of you will probably be switching off now. But if you look at it another way, if I was having to replace every single one of these bricks and I wasn't doing the work myself, I'd be looking at upwards of £150 a day in labour, quite apart from the cost of the bricks. So looking at it in the round, protecting your bricks with something like this is actually sound financial sense. And there are of course other products in the market that might be more reasonably priced. I don't have an experience of using these, but you probably do, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Step 1, wash the surface with a pressure washer. Oh, not quite yet. Step 2, apply a cleaner. Now, if I'd read these instructions, I would have used this, but I didn't, so I used this. Does it matter? I don't think so. Let's hope not, but I'll put a link to the actual instructions in the description so you don't have to be a muppet like me. I use my weed killer spray to apply an even film to all the capping bricks that I'll be treating. You apply the stuff undiluted and wait 20 to 30 minutes before washing off. All very straightforward so far. But then I had a bit of a dilemma about what to do with all that moss on the surface of the bricks and the mortar in between them. I'm very excited about this brush, but doesn't even touch it. That's a deck cleaning brush. The next option, wire brush, the most effortless solution, but you can see it scratching the mortar a little bit. Enough to worry about, I think. So that's not really a good option. And the last option is a normal scrubbing brush. And that is the most labour intensive, but the most effective in terms of not damaging the mortar below. And I think all I'm trying to do here is get it loose enough so that when the pressure washer comes, doesn't really hit it too hard. And before you mention it, yes, there are other options. We'll talk about this later. But right now, there was far too much moss to scrub off by hand, so it was time to bring out the big guns. My Ava of Norway pressure washer had it a couple of years. I've been meaning to do a dedicated video, but as 240 volt machines go, I don't think they get much better than this. I'm always a bit worried about pressure washing this mortar, which is partly made up of lime, but what's really satisfying is the pressure washer managed to remove all of the moss without taking out any mortar. Incredibly satisfying, and it really felt like I was giving these bricks the best possible chance of survival. A couple of days later, and blessed with a bit of sunshine, it was time to get those bricks creamed up. Funky stuff this, super hydrophobic, highly breathable, self-cleaning, a sort of super slippery yogurt. And to give the bricks the best possible chance, I was going to properly lather it on. It's going to be really interesting to see how these bricks perform this winter with this protection on them. Yes, there are cracks, holes and crevices the rain moisture could get into. I think it's going to be enormously beneficial having got rid of all the lichen, mould, moss, all that stuff. Because you just assume in the winter that these things sort of prey on the brickwork. Interestingly, it was all there over the summer, but because it's so dry, it sort of dries out, retreats, and you just think we haven't got a problem. But then it's only really dormant and it comes back. So what I've done by pressure washing, I've removed it all. I've treated it with that fungicide, which hopefully helped. Don't know whether that was effective or not. And I'm really going to strive this winter to keep everything looking like it does in the summer, rather than just accepting the fact that everything atrophies and becomes mouldy, which I don't think it needs to. Well, that's the theory anyway. Time will tell if I'm right. But one thing I can be sure of, I've done everything in my power to preserve what's left of these bricks, and I hope you find something in here which is useful for you too. A lot of you will be thinking capping bricks are designed for a reason and I shouldn't have used these reclaimed ones. I guess that's the price you pay for a wall that looks authentic and like it's been here for years. But I had another trick up my sleeve. On a recent video, I think it was my mortar repair, when I was, again, pressure washing, somebody said you shouldn't be doing that, just use this wet and forget. As the name suggests, you just spray it on and forget about it. Couldn't do that for these capping bricks because I wanted to get those completely cleaned and water treated before the winter sets in. But there were other areas of the walls that had still quite a lot of moss and lichen. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for this stuff and to see whether it works. So that is what I'm going to do. But I tell you what, it really ought to work, because if I'd read the instructions, I would have seen it should be diluted 5:1, but I was applying it neat. And using the weed killer spray bottle, off I went, spraying all the areas where there were signs of mould or lichen growth. The question was, how quickly would this start working, if at all? And would we see any results during the course of this video? You saw the state of these bricks before we started. These are actually pretty good, but these were the ones that were in a real mess. And I wanted to just do a quick walk around today because we're scheduled some rain tomorrow. So I want to show you the condition they're in. I want to show you the benefits of that pressure washing in terms of getting rid of all the moss. There's a little bit there, but the wet and forget will have got rid of that, hopefully. And, you know, the moss is gone. That's got to be a positive thing for the winter. The Emperor Creme has now sunk in. You can still see the effect of it a little bit when compared with the brickwork beneath. But all in all, I'm really pleased with how these are looking. I mean, look at this brick here. May still need to replace this, but at least now it's fully creamed up, as they say, and hopefully protected from the weather. Yes, the brickwork, I guess you could say, Has a slightly shiny look along the top, but so did this, and you can see how natural that looks now. And all in all, I'm just really pleased with how this has turned out. And then the rain came, and as predicted, the Creme has transformed these bricks from sponges into super hydrophobic structures. We're assured that the once porous masonry will now completely repel water and dirt. And what about that wet and forget? Well, I wasn't expecting miracles, as I'm told it takes a while to work. But already in the week or so since I treated the bricks, the moss has retreated, and some areas are completely moss free. This area here, which needs repointing admittedly, has been completely transformed. Well, this hasn't totally disappeared. I'm no expert on moss, but that looks pretty dead to me. So I hope you found this video useful today. I was really hoping to delay this until sometime next year so I could actually show you the impact of the Creme on the bricks and how well it's protected them. But I think what we'll have to do, I couldn't do that for reasons which I won't bore you with. What I will do though is I'll come up with an update video sometime in the spring next year just to show you how well the bricks have fared. So keep your eye out for that. Thank you so much for watching today. Details of everything I've talked about and used will as usual be in the description below the video, which you can access by clicking on the more button. And if you're new to my channel, it would mean so much to me to have you subscribe. You can do that by clicking on the link here, and don't forget to click the bell notification icon so you get notified of all my future uploads. Hopefully see you next week.